What's up, Titans Nation? Welcome back to the Titans Traffic Update. I'm your host, Gannon Cornley, and man, do we have some things to talk about this week. Coming up on today's show, we're going to discuss Cam Ward's really rough week that he had this most previous week. Sounds like he had a couple back-to-back, maybe even back-to-back-to-back days of poor performances at OTAs this week. We're going to look at Chim Dike. Is he becoming the next man to step up for the Titans wide receiver core? And then lastly, we're going to talk about how my fellow Titans fans, we got to protect our peace from the Titans media right now. We're kind of going through it as a fan base, but I'll get all into that in just a second. First and foremost, I want to say Happy World Cup Day. It's going to be the second day of the World Cup. Go USA today. I got my Argentina jersey on, my big Messi guy. So if you guys enjoy that form of football, then this is an excited time for you guys. It happens once every 4 years. The World Cup happens to be coming on in my city for the first time ever, so that's pretty cool that Kansas City gets to represent the World Cup while they're here across Canada, United States, and Mexico. So definitely tune into that if you guys are big sports heads, if you guys just like soccer in general. But on today's show, we're going to stick with American football. Before we get into the bulk of the show, again, please make sure that we like and subscribe here on YouTube for me. Again, share this with your fellow Titans community. Let them know that this is a space where I'm going to talk about what the fans want to talk about. So you guys let me know any prompt, leave me a comment down below, and I will discuss it on my next episode or episode coming up, as long as it's relevant, obviously, to what we're talking about here. But yeah, let me know what you guys would like me to discuss, and I'll be more than happy to go through it. So go ahead and like and subscribe. You guys can also find me on Twitter at Titans Traffic, on TikTok and Instagram at Titans Traffic Update. I've got plenty of content on those platforms as well. And if you guys really want to show me some love, I did just create a video on one of my other YouTube channels at GC2 Productions. I made a Cam Ward video, hype video going into his sophomore season. So if you guys want to check that out, see a little bit of a different creative side for myself. I'll create some hype videos for our Tennessee Titans on there. I have some other stuff as well from other sports content, but I did just recently make a Cam Ward video. So you guys check that out on YouTube again at GC2 Productions. But enough housekeeping things. Let's stick to it here on the Titans Traffic Update. Let's get right into it. So, again, as I kind of led the show off with, Cam Ward. I spent all of last week's show talking about how Cam Ward, he's, been really dedicated and he's really, focused on all ball all the time. And while that's very true, I'm very happy about that, there is another side to it with Cam Ward right now, and he's just not consistent enough. And again, I'll get into what the media's been talking about, and if you guys are on Titans Twitter at all, you guys know exactly where I'm going to be going with that. But sticking with just Cam Ward for right now, he's young, right? So he's got a lot to still learning a new offense. He's already on his second head coach, his second offensive coordinator, his second playbook. He's going through a lot of things right now. So to expect perfection out of him was never going to be, something that should be done by the masses by any means. But we do want to see some type of growth, some type of, progression. Progress is not linear, right? You don't just be bad, go good, and then you just stay good if you're going to go on to be a good person. You're going to have up and down days. And where it looks like Cam really needs to work on is he's got to eliminate the bounce back. He doesn't have to be Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady every single practice, every single day. We won't even need that in every single game. But we certainly have to eliminate the, man, what was that, from Cam Ward. And it sounds like that's what's typically happening in a lot of these practices. He'll have a bad practice, then a pretty decent one, then a bad practice, then a really good one, bad practice. So we got to really figure out, Cam Ward's got to figure out how to eliminate these bad practices. And it sounds like it's not just practices. Like this is a period to period, really a throw to throw basis. It sounds like from a lot of people who are beat reporters who have been there with Cam Ward. It sounds like he'll have a really rough, 7-on-7 period, and have a good team period, or have a good team period and a really rough red zone period. And then there were reports. I think this one was from Austin Stanley from A to Z Sports Nashville. He said that Cam Ward made just a ridiculously bad pass. It got swatted at the line of scrimmage like the ball was going nowhere. And on the very next play, he snaps a freaking 40-yard pass to the sideline on a rope to Chim Dike on the very next play. And so it's things like that I think Cam Ward really just has to eliminate the really bad plays, and then just work on being boring. To be honest, I reference it a lot. I live in a city, with, in my opinion, the best quarterback in football right now is Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion. And I think Mahomes obviously can make really insane throws. Those are things that get clipped and get put all over SportsCenter. But watching the Chiefs up close, being, from here, Mahomes does a lot of boring things too, which makes him really good. That's why the Chiefs went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Not the one where they lost to the Eagles, but the one where they beat the 49ers. The wide receiver corps was not good here in Kansas City. And so Mahomes, he, post Tyreek Hill, hasn't really done like the spectacular throwing off the one leg across his body, no look pass, one eye closed. He hasn't done those type of passes in years. To be honest, Mahomes, it just really can be quote unquote boring, but I don't mean it in a negative light. I really mean it in a positive. Mahomes, for the most part, up until last year, he had a really rough year. He just plays turnover-free football for the most part. He just does the mundane 5-yard pass, 2nd and 5. Another 6-yard pass, move the chains. He's not doing anything super spectacular. And I think that's what made Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback ever, so deadly. It's just, death by 1,000 cuts. And that's really what we need from Cam Ward. I think that he may have been scarred a little bit last year with how depleted our offense was of talent from the wide receiver perspective, how rough it was on the offensive line from time to time, majority of the time, really. And so I think Cam is just so like, I gotta play hero ball, and he's a guy who's, dedicated to his craft. So if you know that you can make these ridiculous throws that a lot of other quarterbacks can't make, I think Cam Ward's trying to almost make that his normal, instead of just being a normal stand in the pocket, throw the ball, pocket passer type quarterback. And so I think that's what Cam Ward really needs to focus on, especially while learning a new playbook. We don't need you to go play hero ball while you're still learning, the different lingo and the different concepts and stuff that Brian Daboll is going to be bringing to this offense. And so that's where I'm a little nervous for Cam Ward. Because again, I'm very, very confident. I think Cam Ward's going to be an absolute star in this league. But we need to maximize it. I think Brian Daboll is only going to be here for 1 season, which means Cam Ward's going to have a 3rd offensive coordinator in his 3rd season, assuming Brian Daboll gets a head coaching job after this upcoming season. So that leaves Cam Ward with, he needs to pick it up and he needs to maximize what he can learn from it. We can't maximize it for throwing interceptions. If we're 3rd and 5, gotta have it, and you're getting the ball swatted down at the line of scrimmage. We gotta have the mundane. That's why I was so excited for Wan'Dale Robinson when we signed him, because he's gonna be the chain mover. He's a guy who's not gonna go crazy in touchdowns, go crazy in yards per se, like yards per reception, but he's gonna be a guy who just can get open, 5-yard curl, throw it, and keep the chains moving. And that's really what we need from Cam Ward this upcoming season. Because clips are awesome. We want to see the highlight plays, the throwing across the body, the no looks, the rolling to his left, and he's throwing it, against the Chiefs, or Chim Dike get caught on the sideline. But if we want him to go to the next level is honestly really, really boring. It's just being a turnover-free quarterback who can game manage, which again sometimes is used in a negative light, but I'm using this as a positive. Can you game manage and just not turn the ball over, and can you keep your offense on the field? And that's, to me, the next step of Cam Ward. And that starts with little things like footwork, of course, improving accuracy, but Cam was never going to be the most accurate quarterback. I don't predict that he's going to be some 70% completion percentage guy in the NFL. I just don't think that's who he is. He's a gunslinger. He's going to he's big game hunting. He's looking for deep passes. Where can I go to go score deep ball touchdowns? And that's fine. But again, just because you can do that doesn't mean we need to be doing that every play, every series. Be boring sometimes. Now, I think that's what Cam Ward's next step is going to be. And I think that's where that consistency can really come for him this upcoming season. So yeah, lots of reports were just Cam was just off this week. Just wasn't his best week. Again, it sounds like a really, I forget which days. I think it was Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday were their practices this week, at least the ones that were open to the media. And Tuesday was really bad. Wednesday, I think he was okay. And then Thursday, if I'm getting the days right, the third practice was just like, it's just like, he's just not seeing the field the greatest. And that's really interesting because as inaccurate, if you want to call it, as Cam Ward can be at times, he only threw 7 interceptions last year, right? So it's not like he's just completely misreading the defense. He's not throwing the ball directly to defenders all the time. So I think that he's just got to learn to take the wins and losses. And it's okay to punt sometimes as well. Some of the best things you can do is on a 3rd and 10, don't put the ball in harm's way. Man, just dump it off to the running back, let him get tackled after 3 yards, punt the ball. And I think that'll, over time, like you keep doing that over and over, you're training your mind like, hey, right now is not the time. And then when you got to have it, you know that you can make those deep throws in, dire situations. So that's just what I want to see from Cam. So, again, we don't need to be sounding any alarms. There were certainly people in the fan base and of course in the media, I think you guys know what I'm talking about, that were just freaking out. People calling Cam Ward a bust, like, oh my goodness, here we go again. We're going to have to be start looking for a quarterback in 2027. I can guarantee you, I would bet my house that the Tennessee Titans will not be drafting a quarterback in 2027, at least not in the first 5 rounds. Like Cam Ward is going to be the quarterback next year. Opening the new building, the new stadium, there's just no way Cam Ward's not going to be on this team or be like the guy next year. So we're married to Cam definitely for the next 2 seasons, this year and next year. So if he has a bad year this year, they're going to give him another year, and then 2028 for sure if he's just not cutting it. But we are so far away from that, and I do not predict that at all. Cam just really just has to learn how to stack days. Stop being like, man, we got to bounce back. We need a better day from you today. And Robert Saleh, said that in his press conference just yesterday. Cam Ward's a really, really good football player, and I truly believe that. I think he's going to be a top 15 quarterback by the end of next season. I think he can be a fringe top 10 quarterback. But how you do that is the top 10 quarterbacks don't go out there and throw the ball for 400 yards every game. They just don't. They just know how to control the game. They let the game come to them. And so that's the next step for Cam Ward, in my opinion. And we also have to keep in mind too, there was a practice without Carnell Tate out there. And again, I don't want Cam to be 100% reliant on Carnell Tate, but when you don't have your number 1 receiver out there, especially a guy he's been getting used to, that does change up some things. So Carnell Tate had a little bit of a bruise. They said, I think it was a leg bruise, if I'm not mistaken. And so he missed a practice or 2. I forget if he missed both the first 2, but he came back the last day. And it's not like Cam was all right on the last day. So Carnell Tate wasn't there, especially for Tuesday's practice where Cam Ward had his worst practice of the week. Carnell Tate comes back. He's a little bit better. So again, he's just missing his number 1 guy. So that could throw off some of his chemistry with the receiving core as well. But transitioning to the next segment, something I am excited for, despite Cam Ward not having a really good week, Chim Dike lit it up. From reports, he was awesome. He's getting a lot of work with the second team right now. Sounds like him and Alec Eilman are both working with the second team a lot because they're catching a lot of passes from Mitchell Trubisky. And it sounds like Trubisky's been the best quarterback during these practices so far. And then that makes sense, right? So I know some Titans fans hear that like, oh my gosh, the backup quarterback's better than our starter. Well, here's the thing. Mitch Trubisky was the backup quarterback in Buffalo when Brian Daboll was with Josh Allen with the Buffalo Bills. So he knows the offense. He knows exactly what Brian Daboll is going to be expecting. And he's a veteran. He's been in the league for a while now. So we should expect Cam Ward, for him to be a little bit better than Cam Ward in less than 10 practices running this offense. You know what I mean? He should. He already knows what Brian Daboll expects, where he wants the ball to go, all these different things. And again, the reason why a lot of these guys stay in the league, like a Mitchell Trubisky, is because they're practice warriors. He's not gonna. Why would Mitchell Trubisky throw risky passes And I'm not saying that he can't make good throws, but I'm saying why would he risk throwing over the middle, why would he make a dumb play, essentially? Just be the practice manager, throw to open guys, be accurate, and don't make dumb decisions, and you'll have a job in the NFL for life. You'll be a backup quarterback for life. So practice is where he gets his reps. For one, this is all he's going to get, so he's going to go out as hard as he can. And two, he's not going to make any risky moves that would jeopardize his position as a backup quarterback, because he knows he's just one play away, then he's in the game. So why risk that throwing some crazy pass where the coaches don't feel that they can trust you? So Mitchell Trubisky honestly should be the best, because you have Cam Ward, who still should be trying things out. He's still learning the NFL game, the NFL speed. He has a new number one wide receiver. So he should be trying out different things. Okay, can I throw the ball off my back foot in this situation? Can I, change up my arm angle for this? So Cam should be trying things. Trubisky shouldn't be trying anything. Just show that the playbook, can teach it to the young quarterback, and be a team guy. And then Will Levis is quarterback 3. He should be making all types of risky throws a little bit, because that's the only way that he needs to put out some type of tape. So the teams need to hear that Will Levis is making these crazy throws, and then when he gets into preseason, hopefully for himself, he can seek a trade, and there's some trade value for him. So Will Levis kind of is in a position where he kind of has to throw kind of crazy throws, maybe get some oohs and ahs, trying to build up some camp hype, so then maybe he can get traded to a different team. And I think that's probably best for all parties, to be completely honest. But Chim Dike, sounds like he's been killing it on the second team with Mitch Trubisky. He's destroying it, and that's what we want to see from a second-year guy. Again, I know our defense of second, we don't have a ton of depth on our defense as it stands right now, especially in the secondary. But the guys we did bring in are mainly guys who've been in the league for a little bit. So for a second-year player in Chim Dike, that's awesome. That's exactly what we want to see. We want him to be able to go out here and make plays against veterans who've been in the league a while, who've been around, and build rapport with a veteran quarterback in Mitchell Trubisky. That's exactly what I want from him and Alec Eilmanor. And that really shows the depth that this Titans wide receiver core really has for the first time in quite a while. And that's why I've been seeing people talking about Calvin Ridley. This is why I was really big on wanting Calvin Ridley to stay with the Titans. Because in a reduced role, I don't think Calvin Ridley should be out there all the time. But this allows Chim Dike and Alec Eilmanor to really earn their right to start. Force them to have to take Calvin Ridley out. We know Wan'Dale Robinson's going to start, and we know Carnell Tate's going to start. So for that other that third wide receiver spot, we really want these guys to go out there and earn it. We don't want them to be just gifted the starting spot like they were last year, because our wide receiver core was so bad. I mean, even Tyler Lockett was here for a little bit. He did nothing. He did nothing for us. He was just handed the starting spot, and Tyler Lockett didn't do anything for the Titans. So we want Chim Dike and Eilmanor to go out there and earn it. And I think that's the best thing for the Titans moving forward anyway. Because I would imagine, even if Calvin Ridley stays the whole year, this would be his last year in Nashville. So we want these guys to go out there and basically force the coaching staff to have to take out Calvin Ridley and or pursue a trade, because, hey, you know what? We're paying this guy a lot of money. Let's get him off the books. We got Chim. We got Alec Eilmanor. We got 4 receivers that we know we can rely on each and every day, each and every game. Why not, right? Little hydration break. It's hot. It's hot in Kansas City right now. But back to it. Like the Chim Dike, this is exactly what we want to see from him. So he's more than a returner. I think he can be a really solid wide receiver. And I don't think that Chim's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver guy. He really is just going to be a big game, a big game hunter along with Cam Ward. That's why I think they can gel so well together, because I think that he's going to be a guy who can take the top off the defense, and he's just a burner. He can catch the deep passes. I think that pass, if you guys remember from last year, Cam Ward's touchdown pass to Chim Dike in the New England Patriots game to kind of start the game off right. To me, that's exactly the role I see Chim Dike being for the remainder of his career, on top of being a kickoff returner. He's a guy who's going to be stretch the defense, go these long crossing routes, deep posts, corner posts, streaks, all those type of deep routes that make the defense nervous. And so I don't think he's going to be a high reception guy, but I think he's going to have low receptions for a lot of yards, for his sake. And I think that Chim Dike is doing that. There were reports that he was catching 50 to 70 yard bombs in practice. Cam Ward threw a couple of them to him as well, but he's been really eating on that second team. And like I said, I think that's really good. Gives him an opportunity to go earn it. And then with Carnell Tate being out, that's just more rotation for both of those second year guys, Alec Almir and Chim Dike. But it sounds like Chim was really the guy that showed up this week of practice. So that's nothing but positive stuff for Dike, and that's what we need out of a wide receiver core. If we can be 5 guys deep that we really trust, imagine Calvin really is, comes back with a vengeance. It can be that borderline 1,000-yard guy. Then we have Wan'Dale Robinson, who had 1,000 yards last year in the NFL. Carnell Tate, he's going to be wide receiver number 1. We projecting him to be around 1,000-yard guy. That's 3 guys. I don't think they'll have 3 receivers. Let me be clear. The Titans will not have 3 receivers that go for 1,000 yards each. But if they can have guys that potentially, spread it out, say, I think that I really think that Wan'Dale is going to lead us in receptions for sure, but maybe Tate leads us in yards. So let's say Tate goes over 1,000 yards, and then Wan'Dale's there at 850 to 900, and Calvin Ridley's there at 700 to 800. Like that's really good. And then you have Chim Dike and Alec Almir behind those guys. That's some great depth. And then hopefully we can get Xavier Strepo out there, or another guy. I mean, they really like this Ty Montgomery dude. Like, he seems to be really good so far in camp. So I like him a lot. So if we can just fill out the rest of this receiver depth, go into the season. I've been saying people, we need to trade Calvin Ridley. No, man, keep him there. Keep him there. We need these guys. And we know the Titans luck. We know. I'm knocking on wood right now. But we know that these dudes get hurt all the time. We need as much talent out there as possible. Because if we got rid of Calvin Ridley, all it would take is one injury, and then we're starting Bryce Oliver again. Or an undrafted rookie. Or Xavier Restrepo. No offense to him, but if we get rid of Calvin Ridley, then we're one injury away from having to start this thing all over again. We don't want that. We need as much receiver help as we can get, and Chim's on the right track. I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, my last segment here, and I'm going to try to not to go on a rant and take another drink. I'm probably going to go on a rant. I ain't going to lie. All right. I've been coy about it a little bit. Look, I'm not going. I told you guys, I'm not going to sugarcoat a bunch of stuff. I'm going to tell you when the Titans are being wrong. I'm going to tell you when they're wrong. Titans are being good. I'm going to tell you when they're good. Same with reporters and anybody else. Jared Stillman. Look, man, you guys. I'm sorry, man. You guys got to quit giving this dude attention. That's all he's looking for right now. It's boring, right? The offseason's boring. Even for making this show, I'm like, man, what do I really want to talk about? There's nothing like really a hot button issue other than Cam Ward in his down week of practice. There's not a whole lot going on right now. This is just the boring part of it until we get to like the 3rd and 4th week of July, where training camp really basically starts. There's not a whole lot going on. So the media is starved for stories. They have deadlines to meet. They got stuff they got to put out. So they got to find something. And for one here, it's boring. Honestly, they probably are fine with Cam Ward struggling right now, just for like their own selfish reasons. Because if Cam Ward goes out there and, okay, yeah, if he's tearing it up, then that's a story too. But if Cam Ward's just your basic, going through a practice, he's 18 for 20, a bunch of underneath throws, and, no nothing risky, no interceptions, no touchdowns, just Cam's just mundane and boring. They'd have nothing to write about. So they're looking for any little thing to find a story on. And I think there's some truth to it. Cam's not practicing. He didn't practice the greatest this week. So they're going to take it. They got to find something. So stop giving that guy specifically, stop giving him the attention that he's grasping for. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, for my listeners who aren't on Twitter, Jared Stillman's a reporter. He works for a radio show. I don't know the exact one. I'm not from Nashville, so I don't know. But he's just known to be negative. He's negative Nancy. And the Titans have not been giving us anything to be positive about for the most part over the last 2 years. So some things he's been validated on. But overall, he's just a big take guy. Everything, you're either a superstar or you're a bust. You're great or you suck. And that's how he goes off of. So he went on after Cam's Tuesday practice, which was the worst practice of the week, and said that he doesn't need to see anything else. This is using his words. He doesn't need to see anything else. Cam Ward's a bust. Nothing else Cam Ward can do. He's a bust. He doesn't need to see any more. That's his own words. I don't need to see any more. Cam Ward is a bust based on his rookie season and 3 OTA practices into the year. And at that time, it was 1. Rookie year and 1 OTA, Cam's a bust. That's how he feels. Apparently. Allegedly. Guys, like, this is what he does. You guys have got to stop. And again, there were other media people who also said that Cam Ward did not look very good. And fans are like, oh my God, the media hates us. And guys, they're gonna nitpick right now. And if Cam Ward's not practicing very well, like, he's giving them the seeds that they want. He's giving them the nutrients that they want for their stories. So I 100% believe that Cam Ward did not practice well. I don't think these guys are out here lying to us. I trust the media, but calling him a bust, that's just such an overreaction. Just like if Cam Ward went out there and threw 25 passes and completed all 25 of them for 25 touchdowns, calling him the next Tom Brady would be the exact same thing. That's ridiculous. That's too much. That's too much. Off of a practice with no pads, the offensive line's not really blocking, the defensive line's not firing off on all cylinders. It's just not the same thing. The defense can't press at the line like they would want to. It's just not the same thing. So we gotta not be all up in arms because Cam Ward didn't show out, and then when Cam Ward does show out, we can't all be, he's the greatest thing ever. That's why I was really happy with Carnell Tate. I did a whole show on Carnell Tate. But out here calling him the next Julio Jones and all this and that, no. Because all the Titans media were like, oh my gosh, Carnell Tate looks like the real deal. Yeah, he hadn't even played a game yet. He hadn't even played a preseason game yet. We even got to OTAs with a cross practice with another team yet. We're just going against our own guys. So we got to take the highs with the lows, and that's really the difference to me, is because Jared even put out something about like why are Titans fans okay with me talking about how great Carnell Tate is, and they all believe me, and then when I dog out Cam Ward, you all hate me. Well, because the difference is and I tweeted this. I tweeted at him. He didn't respond, but I tweeted at him. I said the difference is everyone in the media agreed. No one was disputing that Carnell Tate looked like a dog after he showed up in practice. Everyone, not a single person disputed that Carnell Tate looked like the real deal. That was all Titans media, biased, unbiased, whatever. It was universal. Like, it was undeniable. Carnell Tate looked like the real deal. There is just one person this week that I've heard that Cam Ward's a bust. There's one person saying that. So either you're saying that all the other Titans media are chicken you know what, and they're just trying to sell us a bill of goods, and they're hiding how bad Cam Ward really is. Because again, we're not at practice. These guys are at practice. They can only film certain things, and they take notes, obviously, and record what they can record. So either all the other Titans media, either one is sugarcoating how awful Cam Ward is, because people said that, yeah, Cam Ward was off this week. Cam Ward, not a good practice. He's bouncing back today, but had a bad day yesterday. No one's saying that he looks like a bust, like he's a failed quarterback. So either you're saying that all the other Titans media are a bunch of chicken you-know-whats, or you're saying that you're just smarter than everyone else, and no one else seems to see it. All the other Titans media can't see that Cam Ward's bad, but you know better than everyone else. And I think it's more of you're the latter. You think that you're better than you think you know more than everybody else. And that's why we laugh at you. That's why other Titans media don't get that type of trolling or people in their comments. Even Paul Kaharski, a guy known for being kind of a little bit of a negative Nancy. That's kind of he built this thing on it. But people respect it because, he's not going to sit there and sugarcoat. If that guy who's been doing this for years, if that guy's not here saying Cam Ward's a bust, who's been through all these quarterbacks, it's like he's seen Jake Locker. He's seen the Vince Youngs, the Mariotas, the Will Levises, the Zach Mittenbergers. He's been here for all those things. If that guy is not out here, who's known to be more on the negative side, pessimistic side than anything, if that guy's not out here saying that Cam Ward looks terrible and the Titans should be in the quarterback market in 2027, because that's also what Jared Stillman said as well. that they need. He said if Mike Bergonzi wants to save his job, he needs to go and trade for Mac Jones, bench Cam Ward this year, trade for Mac Jones, and then draft a quarterback next year. Yeah, that's going to do a lot for the Titans. That's going to save us. Then Mike Bergonzi is going to be fired. Yeah, I highly doubt that part. He may get fired, but it ain't because he's trading for. It's not because he didn't trade for Mac Jones and didn't bench Cam Ward. But yeah, if the guys who are known to be negative are not, then why should we as fans be panicking? We've got to calm down. To be honest, I'm fine with it. You gotta see my face. I'm fine with it. Again, I want to see more from Cam, but I'll be honest, the last thing I would absolutely hate for is Cam Ward to look like an all-star in practice and go out there in the games look like a bum. That would be devastating because that would be the media, the team, the players, the coaching staff, everyone's talking about, dude, he's the man. This is the guy. This is the guy. Like, he looks great. And he goes up there and he sucks. To me, that's so deflating. At least if we know, Cam can make some of the best throws you've ever seen, but he's inconsistent. That way we can go into a game knowing, like, it's week 3 and the Titans are sitting there at 1-2. Like, hey, man, Cam was bad the last 2 weeks, but hey, we know that he can make good throws, like he can bounce back. That's at least something you can live with a little bit. But if you are being sold that, man, he's just awesome all the time. He does no wrong. He can make no wrong. And he goes out there and he sucks. It's like, what in the world happened? Is he just a practice warrior out here? And so, and honestly, for Cam's development, I want him to make mistakes. We need Brian Daboll and Robert Saleh to see what Cam Ward struggles at. He's not going to be awesome at everything. So if they know what his strengths and weaknesses are, which it seems to be throwing deep to the sideline, I mean, I think that's most quarterbacks' weakness, to be honest. But it sounds like that's what Cam's really struggling with, his deep ball right now. And with Carnell Tate being out for most of this week, that kind of tracks a little bit. He's without his deep ball guy. Then we can know, like, all right, there's certain plays like, hey, in this situation, Cam, is not the greatest at throwing this deep and outside. You need to be able to be a successful quarterback in the NFL, but if he's not doing it consistently, hey, let's table this type of play, or let's table this formation until we can really work with Cam in this situation on how to throw the ball to this spot. We work on it with him. We want those things. If Cam Ward is hitting it all the time in practice, and there's no pushback at all, and the playbook is 1,000% open, then you go into the game and wonder, dang, man, why can't he do this? Like, we've worked on this 1,000 times in practice, and he hit it every time in practice. Now he can't do it in the game. That's even more problematic because really the football is all about in-game adjustments. You can go in, but I've been a part of so many football teams. You go in with a plan, by halftime, you can be completely changing things all over the place because teams adjust. And that's honestly was Brian Callahan's biggest downfall. The Titans weren't as bad as we were the last 2 years. The Titans weren't getting crushed at halftime in a lot of games. In fact, we had a lead in a lot of games. The problem is halftime adjustments. Brian Callahan was the worst. He was the worst at it. So you're gonna go into the game with a game plan, and it's gonna change. Like, hey, all right, look, they're not letting us throw the ball over the middle right now. So Cam, like, this is what we worked on. Like, we gotta hit it on the outside right now. But we're gonna call these certain plays because Cam's not hitting this deep ball. Let's finagle how we're gonna game plan this. So we need Cam Ward to honestly fail a little bit so we can figure out how to tweak certain things, and we have a whole summer to do the thing. So we don't want him to go out there and be a star. So, like, to get back to my main point, I said I wasn't gonna go on a rant, and then that's why I changed that. To get back to my main point, do not let the media, affect how you feel about this team right now, especially not right now. We get into, the middle of training camp and Cam Ward's doing the same things. If he doesn't look marginally better than he did in, May and June, then we have a problem. Because then that's 2, 3 full months of training. And if you don't look any different than how you did in June, then we have a problem. And that's when some sirens can, start to be alarmed. But man, we're less than a month into Carnell Tate even being really out there with this team. We're still learning the playbook. Like, we cannot let these guys pester us, especially at this time of year when we're begging for a story. We want anything. And that's why I was super happy last week. I said, I'm proud of Cam because he's a guy, he's stayed out of the media, like the non-sports media. He's just a guy focused on football. And that's why I have faith in him, because no matter how much he's struggling, he's a guy who's solely dedicated to football. He's all about ball, while everybody else is doing other things. Shedeur, I talked about it a little bit with Jackson Dart last week. Shedeur Sanders was, before they got drafted, was talking about, pursuing like a rap career on the side. Cam Ward's like, I play football. That's what we want out of our quarterback. He's all about ball. He's not about anything else. He's about football, man. So, but yeah, tell me what you guys think down below. Are you guys nervous for Cam Ward? Did this week change up anything for you? Are you nervous now after this week? I can tell you, my stance is I'm okay. I think that Cam Ward just needs to look better at the end of July and August than he does right now at the beginning of June. It's June 12th, and I think he'll be fine. I think it'll be fine. But let me know what you guys think. Again, like and subscribe again right here at Titans Traffic Update. Thank you guys so much. Again, if you guys like soccer, I hope this is a fun time for you guys. The World Cup is pretty cool in my opinion. Even though soccer is not my favorite sport in the world, I think it's a really neat experience, and especially with it being here in the United States, I think that's a great opportunity to go out there and see something unique, probably for the first time in a lot of you guys' lifetime. So tighten up as always, man. Let me know down below. Have a blessed week.